who for more than 3 decades represented the best interests of his black constituents, having black women voters struck from his jury pool is repugnant and morally wrong. So much for being judged by a jury of your peers. MRT's legal team argues correctly in its filing that given well-established law and legal principles set forth by the Supreme Court, Ninth Circuit, and state courts and legislatures, the Ninth Circuit should likewise reaffirm and clearly state that applying facially neutral justifications in discriminatory ways to target black women and other protected groups presumptively violates Batson. I couldn't agree more. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your comments.
Sweeter than a swisher. Mad cause I'm cuter than the girl that's with you. I don't gotta talk about it, baby, you can see it. But if you won't, I'll be happy to repeat it. My name is Carrie, I'm so very fly, oh my, it's a little bit scary. Always wanna marry, looking at my dairy. And you can stare, but if you touch it, I'm a berry.
Welcome into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Shout out to Carrie Hilson, Pretty Girl Rock.
She was such a thing.
In that 2010
I was going to say 2010, yeah.
Yeah, she was. Shout out to her. Didn't she recently do R&B Money podcast episode, I believe?
Yep. So, I didn't watch it though.
Shout out to her. So listen, and I didn't want to play the clip, but there is this TikTok that is circulating on social media, and there's a woman. She said she is 42, 46, somewhere in there, and she says that to her, girls' trips are pointless. She says, y'all want to be passenger princesses, but you are going out with all the queens. I need my man on vacation. And she said that she's an introvert. She doesn't have many friends, and she doesn't understand the point of a girl's trip.
Well, that's because you don't have any girlfriends to go on a trip with, girl.
I was like, as she's sitting there pondering it and saying, I'm like, you didn't go to sleep. Okay, I know some black people are funny about the sleepover thing, but you didn't have friends as a kid?
I even had a pajama party at 10.
You don't, I don't understand what is confusing about going and having a good time with friends. And
she ain't got no friends. Or they ain't got no money. One of the two.
Those are likely
they need to get somebody American Express card to get some tickets.
I mean, I just thought it was kind of. I think it's sad when women are like that.
I think it's sad when people are like that in general.
Yeah.
Anybody. You should go on a friend's trip at least once in your life.
Because why would you not? Men, women,
and even in high school. I mean, even when I graduated from high school, we had like a senior trip. I didn't go, but there was an option to go.
Right.
So I mean, come on.
You never went to like a theme park for the day with your friends?
Anything?
Camp?
I went to summer camp. Yeah.
Connection, Andy.
She's probably suffering the same thing that Vivica Fox is suffering from.
No, I think it's different.
What is Vivica Fox suffering from?
Vivica says she had a hard time making close friendships. Vivica's thing is different. Vivica's is a totally different place.
I think there's probably an element of that though.
I'm
gonna
people
assume that this woman right here who said whatever she said, she probably has issues with women. Like she probably feels like it's competition or catty. So that's probably one reason. I'm not saying it's the main reason, but I'm saying I'm sure there's an element because I do hear that from a lot of women that they have more male friends than they have girlfriends because women can be catty, women can be jealous.
They can, but here's the thing. When you hear a lot of that too, that I feel is something when you're younger. Hopefully, right, as you grow, I'm not saying all, right? But hopefully you grow and understand that your friends aren't competition. And if you have a friend that views you as competition, probably really not a friend and you want to move around. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I feel like when I was younger, those were the type of things, and I could see it. And there were very much a couple of, I've always had good girlfriends, but there were a couple of moments where, you get tired of going through the runaround to get around. But I also find that those type of situations, those tend to be in friendships where you're going out to date or to, look for potential mates, and sometimes that can get tricky for some women.
Or friendships that are rooted in your youth. So like your friends from junior high school and high school.
Like maybe you don't
Yeah.
evolve in the same type of
Correct.
ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or those superficial friendships. We see a lot of those on Instagram where it's like, we look good in pictures. We need to hang out because if there's a more attractive group, we'll attract more attention and have more options. And then they'll be fighting amongst each other for those options. But
Really?
that is, I mean, you see with Instagram girls, yeah.
Instagram girls.
Bad chicks link up. Where do you think that came from? So that we can link up and look cute on Instagram, pull an aesthetic, and attract more attention. But we'll touch on that a little bit more along
guess.
with, I thought all of these topics went together since we're going to be talking about pretty girl privilege and Joy and Taylor, both an interesting perspective, their connection to one another outside of the obvious. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate is king.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that caring for the community means caring about the climate. You might have heard that we announced a pretty bold 12-month, $2 million campaign to do 4 things. Increase climate literacy, turn up the volume on communities of color in the climate conversation, connect everyday people with the resources they need to survive and thrive, and highlight frontline climate justice crusaders of color throughout this year. KBLA Talk 1580 will be bringing you insightful interviews on all of our shows to help raise your climate IQ. Each quarter this year, we will also be hosting free climate events in various communities throughout the city with food, fun, and forward-thinking conversations. Thanks to partners like LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, the Sierra Club, the California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, AQMD, MWD, and more. You'll also be hearing more about a couple of national town halls broadcasting live from Los Angeles, to which you will be invited. And we'll be rolling out a robust social media campaign on all our platforms, as well as an outdoor media campaign, all designed to educate, enlighten, and empower you in our fight for climate justice.
We want cleaner air.
Caring about the community means caring about the climate. At KBLA Talk 1580, we believe that we really can change the world if we care enough.
Don't shave with that, son. You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops. I'm good with Gillette's Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard anyway? You know Mama hates it.
Yeah, had it since my last wet shave in 77. Got ingrown so bad, looked like I was growing a patch of new noses.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturize, so I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
If you say you care about the community, you have to also care about the climate. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
The thing no one tells you about periods is that your flow changes every day, and so should your tampon size. Tampax has 5 absorbencies to match your changing flow. If it hurts to remove, go down a size. If it leaks, go up a size. Only Tampax has a leak guard braid to help give you up to 100% leak and odor-free protection. All-day comfort and protection for under $5 a month. Based on average U.S. consumer usage at manufacturer suggested price. However, pricing is at the sole discretion of the retailer. Excludes 8-count pack.
Hey. Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I was going to continue something when we came forward, but...
Did I throw you off with that last comment I made off air?
I think I just spaced out. But,
oh, wow.
You know, it'll come back to me. Well, no, I know that that's the topic and we're going to play that. But there was something I said. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Let's just go into our pretty girl privilege conversation. Oh. No. Tell me what you said. Did you know? Tell me what you said.
Come on, Andy.
You don't remember what I said?
No.
Really?
Remember, I'm still a little under the weather.
420 moment. We were talking about pretty girl privilege, and I was basically just saying how, you know, there's a contingency of women who sometimes they feel that they don't have friends with other women because they could be catty, competitive, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, right. And we talked about that a bit. But here's the thing. I do think that everybody, man, you know, should have a fellowship moment where it doesn't have to be my man, my wife, my girl. Not because I'm against black love. I'm very much for black love. But just I think that there should be a balance, and I think it's healthy. It's healthy for relationships to have some space to breathe apart. And, you know, there are things that not bad things, because I know the connotation is, oh, everybody is going to go cheat when they are with their friends. And why is that such a concern? I mean, I get it. I know people cheat, but I'm just saying, like, you never want to relax. You always want to be paranoid and locked and step with someone's side that you think that they can't enjoy friends for a second. I'm not telling you to be stupid. I'm not telling you to be played. I just really don't understand the idea that at any given moment you don't understand the concept of wanting to fellowship with people. Andy?
You know, it's crazy because, you know, when I think about, you know, my past relationships and whatnot, it was somewhat of an issue that there were times where I would like to fellowship with my friends. And I would ask, well, where are your friends? And what I said earlier would always be brought up. Oh, I don't have female friends, this, that, and the third. But it was an issue for me to fellowship with my friends. Now, I gave my significant other all the time that she needed, but there was some times I wanted to go watch the game with the homies. But it was always a big deal. So I just find that interesting.
I mean, it's maturity sometimes, you know, insecurity or whatever.
Yeah, and so many people project their own issues onto other people. So
that's true.
That's a big thing. And also too, I think because people have so many options now where you can swipe left and swipe right, there's this notion that you can be easily replaced. And there's this, you know, constant cycling, especially in nowadays. People don't date to be serious anymore. They date to take pictures. They date to have a meal. They date to have somewhere to sleep. You know, all these things. They don't like. Okay, so I just recently started dating again, and I let it be known, like, I'm not friend zoning you, but we need to build a friendship because I don't even know if I like you or not, right?
At 100.
You know, so I think that we have lost the art of, you know, building friendships, A, and B, communicating, because there's this whole notion that, okay, if this does not go, you know,
I don't have to have patience.
If we're not in love overnight, then I'm going to swipe left and find somebody else.
People think that they have far more options than they
really
do.
Yes.
Fact. Shout out to Renia Black in the chat. Shout out to is that Amon Deasy? If a man had made a video about how he doesn't like guys' trips and only wanted to be with his wife, no one would be criticizing. You are probably correct about that because usually men are on the opposite spectrum talking about, for example, what Andy said. She's too clingy. I need to go be with the boys. So when it looks like
I don't say clingy now.
well, I didn't say clingy. I'm sorry. I said clingy. He did not say clingy. I'm just throwing adjectives in there from all of the types of random things that tend to surround these conversations. So he did not say that. But the point is that I feel like we do sometimes try and big up the men that are trying to be more responsible in their place in relationships and
Papoose.
and not treat them, I guess, as, a throwaway. Because we see that so much with men that when you see the opposite behavior, it's like, Pavlov's dogs. You want to reward the good behavior that you want to see over again. So the thought is, if we as women say, yeah, we like that you guys will clue in and like, oh, we should do that. Doesn't always work, but that is generally the idea with that. Carrie Webb says, when my girlfriends got married, they still wanted to hang out. Their husbands were like, what does a married woman need to go out with single friends? And I was like, what? Now, that is another situation because there are very much married couples that are like, once we're married, there's no need for us to have single friends. That causes frays, that can cause problems. There's too many insular. We should only. I disagree as well, but I'm not married, so I can't.
A lot of my friends are married, and it's so funny because they've even said this to me. It's like I'm the favorite.
You're the favorite single friend.
All of my friends' spouses, they all love me. All the husbands love me. All the wives love me because I'm the friend that I'm not going to cause friction. It's like, you're married, you need to go home, or where it's like I always respect the boundaries of marriage, and I think that's important.
But
for people that are single and not in relationships and just friendships in general, respect the people's marriage.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
But here's the question though. What happens if, the spouse is insecure? So they think just by nature of you and their significant other hanging out, that means it's the potential for wrong to happen.
Yeah. That has happened too. And, that's when I like to have conversations. So I'll go up and be like, look, this is what it is. I'm not trying to start no drama. And some people respond to it well and other people don't, It just really depends on the person's spouse. And people should also have that expectation. A lot of the times when your friends get married, you should expect not to see them anymore.
Oh, I mean,
and
100%.
Sometimes that is the case and sometimes it's not. Even like when people have children and when people
changes,
and marriages, it's like this is the time you're going to back off because there's going to be some changes in your friendships. Unfortunately, my friends that are married and have children, they've managed those changes, pretty well. But I think that's also a testament to friendship and communication too.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And maturity. Renia Black says people want too much control immediately. Demanding people are overwhelming. Can be.
Exhausting.
It can be. So Taylor Rooks and Joy Taylor, the two Taylors, they have joined forces for a podcast, and it's called Too Personal, because they're going to be talking about topics that don't involve sports. Obviously, they're both sportscasters. They're children of, Joy is the sister of former professional NFL player Jason Taylor. Taylor Rooks is the daughter of, I believe her father played. No, Taylor's. I think he was either a big college star. Like her family played sports. I think someone played baseball and someone else was a big college football player. But they, have joined forces to have conversations just about their journey in the media industry and sort of things that have happened. So in a most recent episode, they talked about pretty privilege and the notion that being pretty doesn't always mean it's the best thing in the world or that you want that attention. and people look. Andy right there is back there like, ah.
It's true though.
He's what?
We gonna play the clip and then we gonna chop.
Okay, all right. So let's drop the clip and then we'll get into this.
There are things about being pretty that give you massive advantages in life. There is also, simultaneously, a very dark side to being considered beautiful.
Yeah.
The experience of walking in a room and immediately no one taking you seriously because they see your appearance and like, oh, this is the looker. Like this one's here for aesthetics. Like we don't have to worry about what she has to say or what she thinks or her input. Or she probably doesn't have any experience in the space because clearly they only hired her because of or whatever. Like that's one thing.
Yeah.
Which people may not think is that bad. How about everyone trying to you all the time?
Yeah.
So you can't get any business done because everyone assumes that the reason that you're talking to them is because you have finally made it. You've finally been chosen by me.
Yeah.
When in fact, like, I just need you to collaborate on this project with me. I actually don't want to sleep with you at all.
Yeah.
And then if you don't want to sleep with them, then they're mad at you because they got it in their head that the reason that they're talking to them
Totally.
is because you're a beautiful woman and this is what you're here for, is to
for sure.
receive. So there are a lot of things, and it's a very complicated experience. I'd say that with the knowledge that there are a lot of things that come with being pretty. And there will be people that watch us and say, you're not that pretty, which is fine. I am, but it's fine. Like I don't have to be beautiful to everyone. Like there's enough of a contingent that I know that it's okay. I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a yin and a yang to the experience.
So, listen, already in the chat, Carrie Webb is putting up the rolling eye emoji and says there's a pretty tax. But there is sometimes.
Not so much. And see,
What do you mean not so much?
I'm just talking about Carrie.
Oh.
Not so much, Miss Girl. I never considered myself attractive in that way, but I understood everything they were saying because I have been in situations over several jobs where I've had a woman tell me before that I only hired you because I knew that you were a black male and I wanted to F you.
That's sexual harassment.
Yes. That has happened to me.
Not for us, man.
There's another job. The same thing happened. It was like, so I completely get it. It's like when everybody wants to F you, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not here for that. Calm down. Let's just work on this project together. So I get that because it's happened to me several times.
I think that,
and it's uncomfortable
and so
and annoying.
I think that,
and very bothersome.
Okay, well, talk to us about pretty privilege, Trent.
I didn't know that I had it until it started happening.
So, what has it done for you, though?
Nothing but get on my nerves and make me the target of sexual harassment when I didn't ask for it.
Okay. So then you're in agreement. But
but the other side of that too, and this is where it gets tricky, when you know that you have it and then you use it to manipulate situations. So that's where it becomes a problem.
Manipulate, or you use it to
your
advantage?
It's the same thing.
Why is it the same thing?
Because you are aware of it now, so you know how to maneuver it versus not knowing and being unaware of it.
But if you know that you're smart, right?
There's a way to do it, though.
But
it's different with intelligence than it is with sexual.
Utilizing
energy.
What you have, right, in whatever capacity, is the benefit of you. That is how you put together and how you present to the world. Why is it, if it's looks, it's considered being manipulative?
It's not looks as much as it is sexual energy behind it.
But pretty privilege is about looks, not. You can be have sexual energy and not be a conventional looker.
And no one's gonna look at you.
That I disagree with that. The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. Cleopatra is an example of this. There's an example of tons of men and women who are not conventionally attractive that have an aura, and it has nothing to do with their look,
their body.
You will have an easier time if you're attractive using it versus if you're not attractive. So that's where the manipulation comes in.
But here's the thing. But the flip side of that is that people don't always take you serious. Even if you are, you say, so yeah, you might get in the situation, but they don't take you serious as far as what you contribute, your intelligence, what you bring to the table, your knowledge base, because like she said, you're,
but see,
sticks
some
in
people,
the room.
Corporate America.
And some people use.
Not just corporate America.
True. But some people use their sexuality and their looks just to get ahead. And not their intelligence at all, because they know that that's what's going to get them ahead. And they don't even reveal that they are intelligent, so they use their intelligence to further manipulate the situation by leading with their sexuality and their body.
But maybe they're leading with it because they know that that's all you're paying attention to anyway. I mean, it's a lot of different ways you can go. Andy, you look like you have a little bit of input, a lot of it.
I feel like I agree with maybe 50% of what Joy Taylor had to say. The whole thing about people looking at her and she doesn't have anything to bring to the table. I say that's in the corporate America type space with white folks. You know what I'm saying? Are there gonna be, like, if she went to like a black business, are there gonna be some men that probably look at her? Yeah, but I don't know if we're like, oh yeah, you're too pretty and you don't bring anything to the table of intelligence. I don't know, just in my experience.
Let it be clear, people will be dismissive of attractive people, black or white, not just corporate America. It can happen across the board.
No, but you know what? Andy brings up a good point, because I've worked for black businesses and white ones alike, and it's very interesting. That is typically an experience, something that I've experienced in white corporate spaces.
I've experienced it in both. When we come forward, we'll get into more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's not my fault, so please don't trip. Don't hate me 'cause I'm beautiful. Don't hate me 'cause I'm beautiful. Hey, now do the pretty girl, do the pretty girl,
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Tennessee's Comptroller's Office will assist the Shelby County Clerk's Office. It comes as Comptroller of the Treasury, Jason Mumpower, called the office incompetent, saying he has no confidence in the way it manages its affairs. Shelby County Clerk Wanda Halbert, who is black, has been under fire for a while, with officials claiming she's not doing her job and some calling for her to be fired or resign. Mumpower says a team of auditors is being sent to Shelby County and workers will be helping with certain tasks. Some Tennessee parents are not happy about proposed changes to the MLK Academic Magnet School. It would get rid of 7th and 8th grade and expand the number of high school students allowed in the school. Those against the potential change spoke up during the Metro Nashville Public School meeting this week, worried that it would leave just one academic magnet middle school in the county. MNPS has the plan to phase out the grades by 2027. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Their recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
All I need is one mic.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley. Recently, the Washington Post ran a major story which in sum reveals that racial discrimination in jury selection persists in America. Most often, the practice occurs through a legal tactic called peremptory challenge, which allows an attorney to strike a potential juror without having to state a reason. In the 1986 Batson Doctrine, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the use of peremptory challenges to exclude potential jurors solely based on their race violates the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. By the way, the late great Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall despised peremptory challenges. New data in the Washington Post story underscores that nearly 40 years after the Batson decision, the problem remains widespread. One study in the Deep South found that black jurors are being challenged and dismissed at double and triple the rates of other prospective jurors. Bottom line, it's racist, it's wrong, and it's pervasive, even as research shows that racially diverse juries spend more time deliberating, make fewer errors, and can result in fairer trials. One of the arguments in the Ninth Circuit appeal, brought by former LA City Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas, is about violation of that Batson doctrine. In its case against MRT, the U.S. Attorney's Office struck black women from the jury pool based on demeanor and employment status, a clear violation of the law. A long list of high-profile black law professors, historians, and justice centers have now filed amicus briefs in support of MRT's position. But the irony of a black elected official who for more than 3 decades represented the best interests of his black constituents having black women voters struck from his jury pool is repugnant and morally wrong. So much for being judged by a jury of your peers. MRT's legal team argues correctly in its filing that given well-established law and legal principles set forth by the Supreme Court, Ninth Circuit, and state courts and legislatures, the Ninth Circuit should likewise reaffirm and clearly state that applying facially neutral justifications in discriminatory ways to target black women and other protected groups presumptively violates Batson. I couldn't agree more. For KBLA Talk 1580, I'm Tavis Smiley. We welcome your comments.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You know, you make me feel so good inside. I've always wanted a girl just like you. Such a purity, pretty young thing. Ooh. Where did you come from, baby? And ooh, won't you take me there right away? Won't you, baby? Tender Rooney, you got to be. Spark my need, just sugar fly with me. Don't you know now is the perfect time? We can make it right in the city lights. When the night is the love and
Welcome back in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. I am joined by Trent Jackson, Trent the Artist. We are discussing Joy Taylor and Taylor Rooks' commentary on pretty privilege. Urban Spinster says, this goes back to the topic that we were speaking of before about girls' trips and married and single couple friends. She says, why people think you want to engage with their partner out of their own insecurity is annoying, which it is. She also adds, I don't call married men who are friends after a certain hour or hang out one-on-one. Folks are funny about that, especially if you're attractive and single. That is correct. That is true. Yep. Kendi says, why shouldn't someone use the tools they were born with if it is to their advantage? I think people are selective about what is using and what is manipulating, and a lot of it depends on situation, context, and a little bit of projection, depending upon. So I think we all agree to it. It just, in what situation and what is appropriate will vary. So, Renia Black says, Trent is right. My son went through it. So, similar to you. And let's see. The chat started moving fast. I missed something.
Yeah.
People are all into surface of a person and expect them to be a certain way. And she also adds great topics. Shout out to her. And Crystal Waite says, white corporate people feel they can get away with more. I think it is just, the idea they have not, in general, had to consider another person's perspective. Well, I guess now with the racial reckoning, outside of these moments, because they've always been put in the lead. So they weren't worried about what was going on back there because they're up here. So it's just what I want. I mean, that's part of privilege, right? What is it, Trent?
Forensic accountant.
What happened?
His last comment.
Use your tools is how we got the Fulton County DA investigation. Okay. So listen.
Ain't no man ever bought her nothing except for her father.
Time and place, man. Time and place. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has a different experience. I can't even say anything because isn't Fanny from Inglewood? I believe she is. She is from Inglewood.
Born.
Yeah.
You're not born.
Yeah. No. This is real rap. Real rap. Gen X. Yeah. So,
She sure was. 1971. I love it.
But see, this is the thing with that. And I've talked about this a couple of times about certain, I think, markers of things that seem very much locked into Gen X and what was presented as far as manhood, as far as the changes that happened and how women needed to protect themselves coming off of, as divorce started to rise. I've talked about this. A lot of women were unprepared at that time period for their husband to move on and to leave them with things. So a lot of Gen X women were taught. That is why, not why we went to college, but went to college like you got to make sure that you can take care of yourself. You don't ever want to be left out there. So, that's a conversation for another day, forensic accountant. At any rate.
I enjoy him so much. It's great.
I believe that it's so subjective too, as far as pretty girl privilege, because as Joy said, not everybody is going to think that everyone is pretty, right, or that they are getting a benefit because of their looks, or, there's always the debate, if this person was brown skinned, she would not be getting motion. Right? Or this person, they only say she's attractive because she's light. And again, those things happen. Mm-hmm. But it is also very subjective as to what a benefit is. I'll put it like this, right? If every time you go to the club, a guy tries to buy you flowers, right? Doesn't matter to you. But if a girl that never gets that treatment, right? One day, I don't know, I want to frame this up right and not be offensive, but she finally gets the treatment one day, and let's say she's with the friend that always gets it, and the friend that always gets it is like, whatever, but it means something to her. Who's wrong in this? They both have a different perspective of it, and it doesn't mean that either one of them is wrong. It just means experience has shown them a different way to feel about it, I guess. That's what I'm saying. So, Andy.
Sometimes that privilege, that quote unquote privilege, can turn into entitlement.
It can,
right?
It can, but I mean, again, that's with any privilege, right? When you become, listen, just like they used to say back in the day, the baddest chick becomes the average chick when you're overexposed and you see her every day. When you become accustomed to certain treatment, lifestyle, accoutrements, or whatever based off of, your looks, your status, or whatever, of course you're going to expect it to be there. You expect when you park your car and go into work, when you come back out, you expect your car to be there. You don't think that's privilege. That's just the way that it is, right? So, I don't know. If the world always shows up for you, are you wrong for expecting the world to show up for you? You should still be kind. You should still be gracious.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's a fine line.
And not everybody is being kind.
That is true.
In the midst of it.
But some people are not kind in the midst of it and don't really have pretty privilege. They might have about it pretty privilege. I mean, that's the thing. I also think that pretty is obtainable. There are so many ways to be pretty in 2024. Being ugly is a choice in some ways.
It is.
But it is.
No, it is.
It is.
It is.
About all that.
No, it is.
It is.
It is.
No, I disagree.
I mean,
just like ugly, you're ugly.
No, that's not true. Just like being bald is now it's a choice.
I think that there are so many ways.
You can clean it all up, and it's too much technology not to attain or even have the life that you kind of want, even on paper, on the surface.
And I agree with that. That's what I think, that you can buy pretty, you can get surgery, you can get makeup, you can get extensions, you can get the melt plans. Lace front, lace wear. Do you know what I'm saying?
Andy,
there are
they have
so
payment
many different
plans.
things.
You can Klarna plastic surgery now.
I mean, there's so much that you can do. I think pretty is obtainable.
He says no.
No, listen, we see it all the time.
Yeah.
You guys talk about the makeup foolery and what makeup can do and all of these things. So, therefore, if you can be tricked, it's obtainable. It is. When we come forward, we'll have more trending topics and headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, KBLA Talk 1580 has released the groundbreaking results from a survey about environmental issues and the impacts of pollution and climate change on our community. The poll provides unique insights into Black voter sentiment and preferences on key environmental issues and social justice issues. The results highlight that there is a direct connection between environmental justice, social justice, and civil rights. Equally important, respondents overwhelmingly believe that pollution, climate change, and other forms of environmental harm in Black, Latino, and low-income communities more than white, Asian, wealthy, coastal communities. To learn more about this after and our historic year-long climate justice campaign, check out KBLA1580.com right now. After the show. But check it out. At KBLA Talk 1580, we care about the community and we care about the climate. And right now, the climate that we're discussing is pretty privilege and the benefits. And again, this goes on theme. So there was a girl on TikTok and a guy had, been trying to get with her, kind of DMing her. They don't know each other. And so she effectively said, and Andy, this is for you, because this is the entitlement thing that you were talking about. She said, you want my attention? Send me some money for lunch. Well, he cashed app her $30. And she has a problem with that. She said that $30 doesn't even fill up her gas tank. I mean, you said lunch, not to get you to lunch too. And she said it should have been at least $100. What are you eating for lunch in the middle of the week? Don't you have to go back to work? I mean, here's the thing, right? I understand everybody has different levels of expectations, but to your point earlier, Andy, I feel like social media, rappers and athletes, babies, moms, have gotten some of the regular girls really confused about what a nice gesture is and what is life, You're not on Instagram with 3 million followers, so why are you expecting a regular 9-to-5 working class type guy, even if he has a nice job? You guys are strangers. Why are you expecting him to off rip cash app you $100? I don't know. Maybe they had some other conversations and that was why, but it didn't seem to be that way. And I just, once again, I think that someone in the comments said, you slap a wig on and the entitlement flows. And do you think that the entitlement, because it does seem to be higher than it's been at other points in time, do you think that it's just an overcorrection from Black women being the stay down and it's okay, I'm just going to love you through it and we can have our struggle love and it's an overcorrection? Or do you think that it is the direct result of watching all of the excess with, rappers and athletes and other celeb types?
I think it is a combination, a very toxic combination of a lot of things. I think it's the Instagram culture that we live in. I think it's the reality show perpetuation lifestyle that people are presenting. I think it's the generation that witnessed broken homes and broken relationships. I think that people were tired of their parents' struggle, and all of those things combined have created the situation that we're in.
Do you think that it is to the point now that the belief is if a man is not spending money on you, then he is not investing in you and he doesn't see a future with you? Because that's what you used to hear a lot about that.
Yeah, somewhat. I think that, and this is, let's even take this back. What happened was there was this song that came out.
Ain't nothing going on but the rent?
Nope. I'm gonna keep it current. The song came out about, I guess it was 24 years ago at this point.
You said I'm gonna keep it current.
Yeah.
It's in 24 years.
Because
okay.
This is where it changed. I Need a Soldier.
Destiny's Child?
That song,
you blaming B?
That song changed the game.
Why?
Because if his status ain't hood, I'm not checking for him. That was the line right there.
Better be street.
Exactly.
If he's looking for me.
So everything that came along with that, it changed the conversation about what guys had to do and what girls were looking for.
I don't think so.
That's because, well, I won't even say that because you'll get mad at that too. It was applied specifically to my generation.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, I'm not gonna get mad.
So that's what.
That's funny.
The conversation changed with that song. That changed everything.
How so?
About how guys have to show up. About how girls showed up. The attitude in dating.
Give me more examples.
No scrubs.
That was
music. People don't.
That was before, but no scrubs was different.
People don't give music credit, but music.
No, music is reflective of culture, and it shapes
culture
things.
and shapes a lot of things.
Here's the thing: 2004, and I think it was a little. No, I guess 2004, 2005 Soldier, but No Scrubs was 98.
Yeah, 98.
So that there's a vastly different look of the world or whatever that had taken place through there, and No Scrubs was just about.
It never changed.
Pardon me?
It's all the same. It's never changed from 98 to 2004. The whole thug. Women want a thug has always been.
I mean, but see, the thing, the women want a thug thing is just an extension of the women want a bad boy situation. So it's just for Black culture, thug was synonymous with bad boy. You know, you think about it. Something like Happy Days in the 1970s. The part of the reasons why Fonzie was such a ladies man and popular was because he was the bad boy with the leather jacket and the motorcycle. So I feel like that concept has always been there. It has always been there that men are supposed to court and date. I think the idea that, for me, changed in the late 80s or 90s was that it no longer became cool to court a woman and take her out. It became more about, let me see what I can get her to do for me. And I felt like that switch, since we talked about pop culture and things of that nature, you saw that in cinema and the type of films and the situations and setups that happened to them. And that's why I brought up things like Struggle Love. You think about like Bird and her husband in Soul Food, or, you know, different scenarios like that. The stuff that we were fed. What is the show that was on HBO with Wesley Snipes and Sanaa Lathan it was based on a book, Terry McMillan book, and he was like a
um,
blue collar worker. I think that was a
yeah.
big thing in the 90s where, and then we got tired. Um, Urban Spinster says LA girls all had gang affiliated bad boys we needed in the 80s and 90s. We were done by the 2000s. That is facts. And because a lot of those bad boys, not just gang members, they were, dope dealers, they either went to jail or were imprisoned. And so, were imprisoned or, passed
Disappearing
on.
act.
Yeah, disappearing acts. That's what I'm talking about. I think that there was a lot of struggle, love, and those type of things in there. But you're right. Late 90s, early 2000s, that mindset probably changed. But I feel like it was an overcorrection. And I think that a lot of it came from, too, the reason why it's being demanded. You guys aren't going to like this. I think it's also during that time period, if you look at videos, that's when the switch came where Black women were being moved out of videos and those prime things of idealization. And it was the other women that were seemingly worthy to get the gifts and to get the things showered on. And we, as Black women, were always told, well, they demanded. And that is what they're used to in some degree, And there's that debate on how white women were raised and how Black women were raised. And you saw hip hop switching over. It went from, oh, they only want light skinned girls in the video. First, it was just pretty women. Then it was, no, they want light skin. Then it was, no, they don't want Black girls at all. And I think a lot of that has to do with, too, the demand to be respected and tricked on because Black women were kind of seen as being pushed out of the way and referred to. But we can get more into that in hour 3. Plus, we're going to get into this Meek Mill response. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.